All right, now, just two other things. Let's bring up the Ukrainian slides, if you would. You remember last week I said we were loaning our car out to Andy from the Ukraine. You may have met Andy and Ina and Marina. They were here a couple of months ago. Go ahead and get that up there, IK, please. And they are working on, well, Marina was moved to Hjelmeland. And there's about 60 Ukrainians who have settled in the Hjelmeland area. And so Andy, by the way, his job is he buys and sells private aircraft, like private jets. Right now, there's not a lot of work for him in Ukraine. He can work from anywhere, but he hasn't been able to make any money for a few months. But so Marina is his sister-in-law. She got moved to Hjelmeland. Then his wife, Marina's sister, said, I want to be with my sister instead of being in Vienna, where they had evacuated to. So they have also moved here to Norway now in the same area. And Andy had the desire to do something. He's got a secular job, but as all of us, we should all be missionaries on whatever payroll you're on. You can be a missionary who's a pensioner. You can be a missionary who's on an oil payroll. The reality is we're all called to be ambassadors for Christ. And Andy has a very clear sense of calling on his life. And so even though he's got a different secular focus, he saw this group of about 60 Ukrainians and a need for them to be gathered together to share Christ with them. And I know he's an evangelist because he's helped me go to the dump and stuff earlier a few months ago when he was staying in the apartment. He helped me with some rubbish after VBS. And after VBS, he saw the posters we had talking about God's love. And he's showing people at the dump. And he's like, do you know God's love? And I'm like, oh, Andy, And it was very interesting, the conversations. And the non-conversations of people just trying to avoid him. But he's like, if you remember, he's 6.5 feet tall and he's like this big. So it's kind of intimidating when he's trying to tell you about God's love with his Russian accent. Anyhow, he went up there and they talked to this beta hus, and this beta hus said they could use it for free on Mondays. So it's a nice facility. They've got a recreation area, they've got a sitting area, and on Monday night they had the first gathering. They borrowed the car so they could go from house to house. It's about 15 minutes, from one side to the other of the area. So they were going to different homes and inviting people. And they told people it's a Ukrainian fellowship, but we will read the Bible and pray. But it's not a church, so that anybody, everybody's welcome, because they're really trying to be focused on the community and reaching people for Christ. So they didn't want anyone to feel like, oh, I can't come because it's going to be a full church service. So they're doing some fun activities. They're having time for discussion, but also time to pray for people, read a little bit. And the hope is that they'll begin to see, some of them are already believers and others come to faith, and then form a house church out of it. And so Andy sent this message. He had to fly out at 7 a.m. this morning. He wanted to be here. But he sent a letter for me to read to you. He says, good morning, dear church. We would like to share a few words about developing a Ukraine mission in Norway. Hjelmeland Kommune accepted 60 Ukrainians by now and more to come. All of them are not really Norwegian language speakers, so to be integrated takes time. So good time to search for God. We tried to establish a local Ukrainian community with the little home church in Hjelmeland, so people have Word of God in their language and to have fellowship and friendship established among them. Local Prayer House in Ardal provided free of charge premises, and your church provided the car for the first week of establishment and prayer support, and that is very important. Thank you. First meeting already took place on Monday as pictured. Please keep praying for us, and you are welcome to visit someday. Also, please pray for Ukraine and Ukrainians in Norway. More to come. Lots of blessings. And that's from Andy from Ukraine. So he flew out this morning. His car was in the shop in Europe. He's going to pick it up now, drive it back, so they've got their vehicle, and they'll be settling there. But he has said if anyone would like to visit the church, if you would like to come and share something, they would feel very honored and blessed to have people that care to come and minister to the Ukrainians. They can do translation. So this could be a wonderful opportunity in the coming months for us to connect with them. So thank you. Thank you for your support. It's great that we were able to do that and loan the vehicle and for them to get that established.